Hi, this is Matt Shepard. Coming up on this edition of Shep Shower and Shave, a preview of the Lions' opening season game against the Arizona Cardinals this Sunday at Ford Field. We're brought to you by Hungry Howie's, the Michigan-based pizza company known as the original flavored crust pizza, and it has the best fundraiser around. It's called Dough Raiser. Folks, families eat pizza at least once a week, so it's easy to sell Dough Raiser. So simple, your sports team or school group can sell Hungry Howie's pizza certificates to raise a ton of money for your organization. All you have to do is go to doughraiser.com. That's D-O-U-G-H, razor.com. We're brought to you by Northwestern Tech. It is the HVAC school that gets you trained, certified, and into the field in only 10 and a half months. Call them at 248-358-4006 or go to the website, northwesterntech.edu. And we're brought to you by Nate Noth Designs. See his work on Instagram or on Facebook. He's the one who designed our good-looking Shep Shower and Shave logo. Had a great time at Dearborn Country Club yesterday. I played some golf with Craig Monroe, who works with me at Fox Sports Detroit during Tigers broadcasts, Greg Kelser, who I work with during Pistons broadcasts, and Terry Mills, who is my color analyst during Michigan basketball broadcast on the Michigan Radio Network. And we played, well, we only got about 14 holes in because of the rain. Then we went inside, had some hors d'oeuvres, had a meal, and talked to a lot of current or possibly future Dearborn Country Club members. And just talked to them a little bit about sports, what's going on in the city of Detroit. And then I opened it up for some questions. And the primary angle of the questions on the night were about Brad Ausmus and the Tigers. How long is the rebuild going to be? Is Ausmus going to be back? All the things that we've discussed at Shep Shower and Shave. And I get why a lot of people still wonder aloud about that. But obviously with the Lions right around the corner, most of the questions surrounded Detroit. The Stafford contract, how are they going to be able to generate a pass rush, all these other things. And somebody brought up that he thinks the Lions are going to start 0-7, which, I mean, that's his opinion, okay? I don't agree with it, but that's his opinion. And I asked him why he believes that. And he started to go through the schedule. I said, look, I get the schedule. I said, let me ask you this. The Cardinals went 7-8-1 last year. They've got an aging quarterback and an aging wide receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, who I greatly respect as a Hall of Fame player. Carson Palmer's never done it before, but he's got an aging quarterback. What makes them such a daunting team? Especially if you think about it. I mean, I think they're really good. Patrick Peterson's outstanding. You've got Tyrann Mathieu, who's outstanding too. Understood. Two players that I would love to have. I like Hassan Reddick, who they drafted. I think he's a dynamite player, at least at Temple. Let's see what it takes to get him into that type of mode at the highest level. David Johnson's obviously a very good player, rushed for over 1,200 yards last year. They're going to be without Deion Buchanan. That's big. That's why Reddick is going to start. Robert Nkemdiche out of Ole Miss. He was a high draft pick for them a couple years ago. He's probably out with a calf injury. What makes us think that they have no shot at beating the Arizona Cardinals? I mean, come on. If this were the other way around, you'd be counting it as a victory. Then you go to the Giants. Eli Manning's proven he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. Right. Tom Coughlin's not there anymore. They don't have the same guys that they always had in those championships, but you like the pedigree. I like it too. It's not unwinnable, right? They've won. I mean, they should have beaten the Giants there last time they played them. Then you get to the Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are a team that reached the Super Bowl a year ago, surprised everybody, went 11-5, by the way, surprised everybody. How come they can't have a Super Bowl hangover? It's happened to 3 teams in the last 10 years. It happened to Carolina last year. They go to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Cam Newton fails to jump on a fumble. Denver beats them, right? Peyton Manning's second Super Bowl. Last year, they crapped the bed. Now, I think Carolina's going to be better because I think Christian McCaffrey's going to really help them, but I do believe they're going to be better. I think Cam Newton will have a better year. But why can't Atlanta fall down a little bit? Then you got to go to Minnesota. You and I both know this. The Vikings defense is badass. It's a tough place to win. Detroit beat them twice last year. Should you fall back on that? Then you get the Panthers at home. I'll reiterate, stumbled last year. Then you go to New Orleans. Won there last time you played them, and they never play any defense. And my point, I'm not saying they're going to win every single game. My point is, we look at other teams and we find a reason why the Lions can't win rather than why they can. And that's because you and I, even though I can look at it, I think, a little bit more objectively, have been burned forever. And you don't want to get burned. You're tired of being burned. Last night I watched Kansas City, New England. It's great to have football back, isn't it? I mean, the second guessing is going to begin, right? I suppose it happened last weekend in college football, but the second guessing is going to begin. People are going to start panicking. I don't think people in New England should or will, but last night you saw the cutaway shots of fans in the stands, and they were like, what the hell is going on here, right? Maybe people will get a little bit over-amped in Kansas City and feel the same way, that the Chiefs are better than they really are, but we don't know that yet. But the thing is, you see a guy and you think to yourself, wow, what a player. Now, you're not thinking that about Alex Smith, are you? No, because he's been seen as a game manager. I think it's interesting with Alex Smith. He's seen as a game manager, but he's got 60 regular season wins. Third most. NBC put it on a graphic last night. Third most regular season wins actively in the NFL. Tom Brady's obviously number one. Alex Smith outplayed him last night, threw for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns. You're never going to question Tom Brady. I wouldn't either. But Kareem Hunt, draft pick out of Toledo, who I loved. I mean, if you listened to my show in the morning when it was on, you know how much I valued this guy because I saw him play at Toledo. Kareem Hunt had 17 carries for 148 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 rocks for 98 yards and 2 scores. He had 246 yards from scrimmage. He had 3 touchdowns. He is an every down back. Now, I thought Detroit would be wise to choose a guy like that if they were in the market for an every down back. They felt like they needed a red zone threat a little bit more. They felt like it was more important to get another corner, and that's something that you, as fans, have bitched about forever. Why don't they take corners? Why are they not drafting them higher? All that stuff. They do it, and now you're pissed because they missed out on Kareem Hunt, who, no offense to you, probably you never watched play at Toledo. You heard about him. You saw him at the Combine. You saw him in shorts and a T-shirt. You saw him run. You saw Mike Mayock talk a little bit about him. You never saw him play. And a lot of guys that you and I have never seen play. I saw that cat play at Toledo every single season he was there. And I not just watched him play against Eastern Michigan, because Rob Rubik and I call Eastern Michigan football, but because I've watched him in at other games when he's not playing EMU. I knew he was a good player. I think he's going to be a really good football player. How great, I'm not sure. I think he's going to be a really good football player. I think he's an every down back. And if the Lions were in the market, it would have been a good idea. Maybe with Amir Abdullah back and healthy, he's just as dangerous. You and I can only hope. That's vital. I think losing a guy last year, look, Matthew Stafford and the injured finger gets a lot of pub, and rightfully so. Because of his 10 interceptions, a career low, 5 of them came when he had the injured finger in the last, 4 or 5 games, okay? Last 4 games. So that tells you something. He'd be the first to admit it. He didn't say it when it was happening, but once the surgery took place, once in the offseason, so on and so forth, once it was fixed. I think Travis Swanson, he played 12 of 16 games, man. That was a big loss, and Amir Abdullah was a big loss. Anytime you lose a guy, Ziggy Ansah wasn't 100%, there were a lot of things that went south for the Lions, and yet they still made the playoffs. If you want to be a glass half full person about the Lions, here's what you do. Think of it this way. Ziggy Ansah missed most of last year. I know he played a lot of games, but he missed most of last year because he was not himself. He was injured. Well, he's injured again this year. But the point is, he's going to be better than last year. Can't be a whole lot worse, right? Matt Stafford got injured last year. Amir Abdullah was injured last year. Theo Riddick was injured last year. Travis Swanson was injured last year. Those are 5 really important guys that you should be able to make up. And if healthy, should be a hell of a lot better and make this team a hell of a lot better. But it's interesting that Alex Smith's a game manager and only throws for minimal yardage. Let the defense win it. Let your running backs win it. Throw it underneath on a drag route to Travis Kelce. Get it in the hands of Hill and Hunt, and you'll be fine. But he's got 60 wins. Matt Stafford throws for a lot of yards. Goes vertical, something Alex Smith didn't do until last night. Goes vertical. I want wins. What you want is both. And so do I. Because you deserve better. Will you get it from this team? I'm not sure. But here's what I know. The NFL, whether you like Roger Goodell or not, whether you believe contracts are fair, whether you are in favor or against the protest that players seem to take on a regular basis, whether you feel like contracts are overpaid in terms of television deals, whether you want the TV cameras showing guys kneeling or sitting during the national anthem like Marcus Peters did last night, all that stuff. Here's one way that they will grab your attention and keep your attention. The fact that every single year, your team, for the most part, outside the Jets, Bills, Browns, this year probably, has a shot. Has a shot. Think about it. There's people in Tennessee going, we can win the South. Now that we got Corey Davis, we can win the South. We believe in Marcus Mariota. People in Houston are like, look, our defense is rock solid, man. It's stout. We can win the South. And they got Tom Savage, man. Tom Savage is their quarterback. There's not many teams going into this season. I would guess every team in the AFC West feels like they got a good shot, right? Chiefs just beat the Patriots in New England. How often does that happen? Hardly ever. Oakland had 12 wins last year, finished without their starting quarterback. You think they feel pretty good? You're damn right they do. People in Los Angeles actually feel, there's some people who feel like the Chargers can get it done. Denver's not that far off from the last time they won. NFC East wide open. NFC North outside of probably Chicago. Teams feel pretty good about themselves. NFC South is going to be better. That division is really tough. People in Tampa feel really good. People in the NFC West, the Rams, no. Niners, no. 2 teams there, plus I said the Bills, plus I said the Browns, and I said the Jets. So that's 5 teams. So in other words, 27 teams, 27 fan bases feel really damn good about the opportunity that their team presents for them this fall. That's exactly what the NFL wants, man. It's not that the Lions don't have a shot at winning every single game. You just don't feel like it's a damn slam dunk. Right? Okay. I don't either. Pick a team. Any team. Let's take Houston. You think it's a given that they're going to win in Cincy in week 2? A given they're going to win at New England in week 3? A given that they're going to beat the Titans in week 4 or the Chiefs in week 5? Hell no. They got to go to Seattle this year. They got to go to Baltimore. They got to host Pittsburgh. You think those are givens for a team that people feel like is the odds-on favorite to win the AFC South and has confidence in itself that it can handle the expectations of possibly winning the AFC overall? Those aren't givens, man. There's nobody putting money down going, that's automatic. That's not what the NFL is, brother. The NFL is about opportunity every single week. And for the most part, both fan bases in every single market are going into their weekly schedules, unless they're the ultimate cynic. Yeah, we got a shot. Detroit's got a chance to beat the Cardinals. Do you think people in Arizona today, talking on sports radio in Phoenix, or wherever it may be, saying, this is an automatic victory in Detroit. Knowing that they went 7-8-1 last year, and knowing Detroit went 9-7, and if they actually do some research, the Lions had an opportunity to be a hell of a lot better than that. Because of the injuries. Do you really think that? I hope you don't, because that's not happening. Look, people in Atlanta, I don't know how many Falcon fans there are in Atlanta because Atlanta's so full of transplants, but people who jumped on board the bandwagon last year still are on that bandwagon this year. But I'll guarantee you there are plenty of fans there going, I think the loss last year in the Super Bowl is going to affect these guys this year. It's going to be a problem. You don't feel like there's a given on the Lions' schedule? I don't either. Maybe the home game against Cleveland. Who knows? They could be into a different quarterback by then. Who knows? I mean, Myles Garrett isn't playing this week probably. You get rid of your a high draft pick because of a fight during camp. Who knows what's going on there? We don't care. We care about the Lions and the Lions alone. This team think about this. They get 8 games deep, all right? So it's the Cardinals, the Giants, the Falcons, the Vikings, the Panthers, the Saints, the Steelers, and the Packers. First game at Green Bay. You get 8 games deep. You get 4-4, you get Taylor Decker back. Who knows what else you may acquire? Although I think Greg Robinson's been pretty good. Should you not feel pretty good about your team? Just at 4-4, because that is a rigorous part of the schedule. The back end of the schedule, based on last year, is easier than the front end of the schedule. Suddenly, instead of going 4-4 on the back end, you go 5-3, you're 9-7, same as last year, I get it. Or maybe even go 6-2. I mean, because you got the Browns, the Bears, the Vikings, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Bears, the Bengals, and the Packers. Packers at home. That did help them last year, but you get my drift. The harder part of their schedule is the first 8 games. It's going to be really difficult. What's the biggest concern? I've said this time and time again. It's about the pass rush. It's about the ability to put pressure on the quarterback. And yes, it's primarily the edge. Can they hold the edge? Something that the Patriots didn't do very well against Kansas City last night. Can they hold the edge? Can they string it out? Can they prevent the opposition from getting to the corner and turning? Is Dalvin Cook, when they play the Vikings on October 1st, is Dalvin Cook going to be able to sprint to the edge and get to that second and third level? I hope not. If so, that's a serious issue. And that's a reason many people, including yours truly, is concerned. I think they can get some pressure up front. Same thing with Atlanta. Is Devontae Freeman, is Tevin Coleman, are they going to be able to get that edge? It's going to be a problem covering Julio Jones. It is. I'm not worried about Mohamed Sanu or Andre Roberts from the Lions last year. But yes, Julio Jones is scary. Give Matt Ryan time, he'll kill you. That's why he's a reigning MVP. Most good quarterbacks in the NFL will do just that. I'm not as concerned about getting pressure from the edge, even though that's where it usually comes from. I'm worried about pressure in general. And I know there's different ways. Jim Caldwell told me this during training camp. There's different ways to get pressure. I get that. But your linebackers aren't used to blitzing. I mean, Tahir Whitehead doesn't get there. I'm not sure about Jared Davis. Will he get there? Paul Warlow? Come on. You need to generate that pressure from up front. And I don't want to blitz Darius Slay. He's my best cover corner. I don't want to blitz Nevin Lawson. If I got to bring a safety, okay. He better get home, right? Glover Quinn better get there. Tavon Wilson, Miles Killebrew better get there. Yeah. So that's the concern you might have, right? What about pressure up the middle? See, Carson Palmer's not sprinting outside the pocket to scare you. A'Shawn Robinson, Haloti Ngata, guys like that inside, Akeem Spence, they've got to get pressure up in his face. Ask any quarterback, any NFL player, ask any of them, where do you want to pressure the quarterback? Where do they feel most uncomfortable? Easy. When the pressure's in their face. That's where you want to get it. Ashawn Robinson, Haloti Ngata, other members of that defensive tackle. They're going to run some stunts. They're going to do whatever they can to get pressure up the middle. You do that against Carson Palmer. You do it against Eli Manning. You do it to a certain extent against Matt Ryan. You do that against Sam Bradford. You're going to be in the game. It may not work against Cam Newton or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers because of their ability to move. Jameis Winston, ability to move. Ben Roethlisberger, ability not necessarily to move outside the pocket, but kind of sidestep his way maybe over the guard or over the tackle without sprinting on a roll and throwing, but the ability to step up into the pocket and things like that. If you can bring that pressure, if Detroit can do that, then I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. The question is, can that be done? It has not been answered for me yet, and I don't think it's been answered for you either. That's my big concern defensively, and I'm sure it's yours too. I think Darius Slay and Nevin Lawson and Tease Tabor if he's in there at a nickel, or a DJ Hayden if he's in there at a nickel, I think they can cover. I do. I don't expect them to cover for 4.5 seconds to 5 seconds, but I think they can do their job just fine. I mean, look, teams are going to complete passes against it. That's just the way it is. Stephon Gilmore signed a massive contract for the Patriots. He was burned last night. Guys are going to catch passes on him, all right? They're going to be targeted once in a while. That's what happens at the cornerback spot. You're on an island. You're going to get picked on. You got to be tough enough to come back and handle it. You need some help from the guys up front. But that pressure is number one for me. Obviously, number two, it's not even as much protecting Matt Stafford as it is having a balance. We haven't seen the balance in a Lions football team ever. I mean, not since the Barry days, right? Herman Moore, Brett Perriman, Johnny Morton, Barry Sanders. It's awesome, right? Not saying you have that now, but you got the passing weapons. Detroit should be able to do what New England does with Golden Tate underneath. Marvin Jones across the middle, Kenny Golladay as a red zone threat, Eric Ebron as a seam route runner. Should be able to do all that stuff. New England does it better than anybody else, but I don't know if you watched the game much. Tom Brady had all day to throw the football. First half, Kansas City only pressured 3. Second half, they made an adjustment, ended up sacking him 3 times. But he'll pick you apart. Every good quarterback will pick you apart. Matt Stafford's got those offensive aerial weapons. What you've got to be able to have is guys who create a balance for you and create mismatches. The NFL it's so insightful to listen to Chris Collinsworth, I think. I think he's an excellent analyst. What you're trying to do is create as many mismatches as you can possibly utilize. New England in the past has done a great job of that. Kansas City last night was fantastic at that. Moving guys around, stacking them, bunching them, having them move into a pattern from different spots. I don't know if you watched the game last night. I hope you did, because it was a hell of a football game. It really was. But if you looked at it, you saw once Travis Kelce actually move in from the pistol formation. Not that I want Eric Ebron doing that, or can he do that, but you get my point. They had Tyreek Hill running pass routes out of the backfield. That's creative. They rushed him a couple of times, but he caught 7 rocks for 133 yards. Some of those patterns weren't split wide right at the numbers left, in the slot. Sometimes he's running from the tailback spot. Sometimes he's running from shoulder to shoulder with Alex Smith. That's creativity. New England does the same stuff. My hope is Detroit's going to be able to do the same stuff. I'd be running Golden Tate from that spot. But you're going to be running Amir Abdullah from that spot. And that's where it comes back to creating mismatches. The mismatch opportunity Detroit has. I think, the 2 best mismatches. Eric Ebron and Amir Abdullah. Eric Ebron, man-to-man with a backer or a safety, is a nightmare for the defense. Amir Abdullah against a linebacker, and that's usually who's going to take him, man, okay? They're the one reading the tailback. They read guard. They're progressive reads, guard to tailback. I'm simplifying it, but you get it. You get Amir Abdullah on a linebacker, thumbs up if you're a Lions fan. You're going to win that battle more oftentimes than not. You take advantage of the mismatches you possibly can. Okay? Right now, Detroit has those two opportunities. And they can do that against Arizona. You think Jared Davis is going to get exposed? Remember like he got exposed against New England? Right. I would guess Detroit could/should do the same thing to Hassan Reddick. A rookie for the Cardinals, thrust into a starting spot because of an injured starter, and Detroit's got some really valuable weapons there. The thing that concerns me most about the Lions going into the season is the fact that they're a team that is probably going to have to outscore teams. And when, the Giants, I don't worry about their offense necessarily. Falcons offense, really good. Panthers offense, really good. Saints offense, really good. Steelers offense, really good. Packers offense, really good. Buccaneers offense is really good. Bengals offense, really good. Detroit's offense will carry this football team this year. Now, that doesn't mean that if they don't get 11 wins, it's all the offense's fault. I'm just telling you, in order for Detroit to get it done, they're going to have to score. In order for them to win the division, be in the playoff picture, and I think they can be in the playoff picture, they're going to have to score more than 21.5 points a game because they're going to give up points. So they're going to have to do that. When somebody said to me last night, they said, Shep, do you think the Lions will make the playoffs? And I said, here's how I look at it. And we got to be honest here. I know Ezekiel Elliott's out for 6 games. He's going to play week 1 for Dallas. Dallas is best team in the NFC East, right? Would you agree with that? Okay. Green Bay, still considered the best team in the NFC North. NFC South, let's just give it to the reigning defending champion, Falcons. And then the NFC West, it's Seattle. I don't think anybody else in the NFC West is going to make the playoffs. So there's 4 of the 6. The Lions have to battle Giants, Eagles, Redskins, Vikings, Panthers, Buccaneers. That's how I look at it. And they've got the Buccaneers, Panthers, Vikings twice, and the Giants. That's not bad. In other words, you've got the opportunity to decide yourself, to hold matters, take matters into your own hands by playing those teams. Those will be really important football games because I think when all is said and done at the end, when you're looking at those 2 wild card spots, you're going to be looking at that collection of teams. And you and I are going to look back and say, well, had Detroit beaten the Giants in week 2? Stop it with it's only 1 game. I've said that before. There are certain games that does not apply. It ain't applying to the New York Giants game, okay? It's not going to apply to Carolina. It's not going to apply to Tampa. It's not going to apply to even the Saints. Those are more than, because those are the teams, I believe, they're going to be duking it out with in an effort to secure a playoff spot. This franchise doesn't go back-to-back playoffs very often. I think it's only happened like 3 times in the history of the franchise. That's scary stuff. Those will be really important games. I'm not saying that the 2 games against Minnesota aren't. I'm not even saying the game against Cleveland isn't. But I'm telling you, deep down inside, if you told me, look, from an embarrassment standpoint, you don't want to lose to Cleveland. I'd rather beat the Giants. I'd rather beat the Saints, the Bucks, the Falcons, Panthers, much more than I'd rather beat the Cleveland Browns. Because those teams factor in to their postseason possibility more than Cleveland does. You and I both know every game's important, all those cliches, that's fine. I'm talking about playoff possibilities here. Who stands in your way? Who prevents you from reaching your goal? The teams I mentioned stand in that way a lot more than Cleveland. And I think Detroit's going to be battling those teams for a playoff spot. I'd love to be surprised to say, hey, I can't believe they won the division over Green Bay. But Green Bay's got that proven track record. They've got that proven coach. They've got that proven Q. They've got that proven defense at times. It's not the greatest defense, but it steps forward when it needs to. I worry about some of the other things that we just discussed regarding the Lions and their defense. Things have got to change, or someone's got to step forward. Think about this. Anthony Zettel, right? Love him. West Branch guy, Penn State, 20 sacks while at Penn State, made an impact, stuck it out there when a lot of kids just said, I'm out of here, all that other stuff. Anthony Zettel's got one career sack, man. One. And he's who you're hoping for. Now, you're hoping for Ziggy Ansah, too. So am I. But Ziggy Ansah missed all of training camp. He just returned to practice this week. He's going to be a situational guy on Sunday against the Cardinals. He ain't taking 30 snaps. No way. It's not happening. So you're relying on some guys that you just don't know about. You don't know. And I don't know either. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be George Johnson from 3 years ago? Who's going to be Devin Taylor from 2 years ago? Who's going to be Kerry Hyder from last year? I hope it's Anthony Zettel. I hope it's more than Anthony Zettel. I hope it's a couple of guys. I'd love it to be Jeremiah Ledbetter. I doubt it, but I'd love for that to happen. So Lions and Cardinals on Sunday. Monday we'll talk about it as well. I'm sure you'll have plenty to discuss, things to talk about with your friends. I just caution you going into a game like this. A couple things. If a drive ends in a kick, you don't want every drive, but if a drive ends in a kick, you've done something pretty well. In other words, you're not turning the ball over. You're kicking a field goal or you're punting. You don't want to turn the ball over. Now, the punting thing, it's a little skewed because if I take over 1st and 10 from my own 20 and I got a punt, I'm giving them the ball, at their 35 or 40. So they don't have a real long field with which to work. You don't want to have to do that too many times, but it's better than the alternative. I think Detroit beats Arizona on Sunday. I think they're going to have to outscore them. I think because of Arizona's secondary, it'll be a hell of a challenge. But I'm telling you, I really believe that you're going to see a new Lions running game this weekend. Doesn't mean it's going to carry out throughout the entire season. I hope it does. They've got to be dedicated to it. And it doesn't mean there's going to be 145 yards on the ground. Jim Caldwell told me earlier this year in training camp, we're going to play to our strengths. What are their strengths? The strength of the Detroit Lions is their passing game. That's why Green Bay doesn't. It's not like Green Bay has a ton of attempts. Okay? Why is that? The reason they don't have a ton of attempts is because they got guys who move the ball through the air because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe in NFL history. So sometimes those numbers can be a little deceiving. Right? So think about that for a second. The reason that a lot of teams don't run the football all that much is because they've got guys under center who can get the job done. Now, again, you want the balance. I'm going to give you the top 5 teams last year who had the most attempt running. And there's only 3 of them have good balance. Dallas, Buffalo, New England, Tennessee, San Francisco. New England's got the greatest quarterback of all time. Dallas had the rookie of the year, right? And Tennessee, they feel like they've got their guy in Marcus Mariota. Green Bay didn't run the football that much. They did it effectively, 4.5 yards per touch, 106 yards per game, but they didn't have many attempts because they got Aaron Rodgers under center, man. The Giants are a throwing football team. I know we view them as a running football team. Pittsburgh had Le'Veon Bell, one of the best running backs in the league, right? They're middle of the pack in attempts. Detroit had 350 attempts, fewest in the league with Cleveland. 350. The problem is they got no push. They average 82 yards per game. It's not how much you run the football. It's whether or not you're effective when you run the football. That has to change. I don't want Amir Abdullah with 30 carries. I want Detroit throwing it, all right? I want Matt Stafford spinning it. But I want Detroit to be effectively able to run the ball enough that allows play action to work, move the chains, kill the clock, win a football game. Shep, Shower, and Shave, brought to you by Northwestern Tech. Individuals that are entering the HVAC field are seeing their pay potential go way up. How do you get into the field? You go to Northwestern Tech because HVAC is all they teach. They've perfected their hands-on program over the last 38 years. Go to their website, northwesterntech.edu. We're brought to you by Hungry Howie's. Families eat pizza at least once a week, so it's easy to sell dough raisers, right? Yeah. Go to Hungry Howie's and allow your school group, your sports team, to raise a lot of money for your organization. The fundraiser is called Dough Raiser. It's really simple. Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. You don't sell the raffle tickets. You don't do the car washes. You do an easy fundraiser with something that people are actually going to use and want to buy. And we're brought to you by Nate Knopf Designs. His work is on Instagram and on Facebook. We'll be back Monday, Shep, Shower, and Shave, to discuss Lions and Cardinals, week 1 of the NFL, as well as some college football discussion with Michigan battling Cincinnati, MSU against a Western Michigan team that looked really good against USC and should concern Spartan fans. We'll do that next week. Shep, Shower, and Shave right here. Glad you're listening. Have a great weekend.